What's up, fantasy managers? Welcome back to another episode of the First Pitch Podcast brought to you by PitcherList.com. My name is Jake Crumpler, and I'll be your host for this edition of the podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake Crumpler, and you can find all of my work at CrumplerBaseball.com. Let's dive into everything baseball related from Tuesday, July 8th. We'll start it off, as always, with the transactions, injuries, news, and notes from around the league, kicking things off with the bad news as catcher Keibert Ruiz was placed on the 7-day concussion IL. Unfortunately, for him, he will be out for at least a week as he deals with the concussion-related injury. In a corresponding move, Drew Milas was recalled from the minors. He is expected to be the backup to Riley Adams, who will be the everyday catcher in Ruiz's stead. And our other IL placement involves designated hitter Starling Marte, who was placed on the 10-day IL with a knee bruise. He is probably going to be out for just the minimum time, as this seems to be quite the minor injury. But in a corresponding move, designated hitter Jesse Winker was activated from the 60-day IL. He'd missed a couple months with an oblique strain, and he's likely to be on the strong side of a DH platoon right now. Roster resources suggesting he's going to play every day, but Winker is always somebody that's been platooned throughout his career, so I expect him to just see at-bats against right-handed pitchers. In terms of transactions, third baseman Yoan Moncada was activated from the 10-day IL. He'd missed more than a month with knee inflammation, and he'll return to being the Angels' everyday third baseman, which will force Chad Stevens to the minors, affording Luis Rengifo everyday playing time at the Keystone position. Next, we have outfielder Luis Robert Jr., who was activated from the 10-day IL after missing some time with a hamstring injury. Robert Jr. will reclaim everyday center field duties for the White Sox, forcing Michael A. Taylor to the bench. Tristan Gray was optioned to the minors in a corresponding move. And lastly, starting pitcher Richard Fitz was optioned to the minors by the Red Sox. It looks like starting pitcher Hunter Dobbins is expected to be activated from the 15-day IL on Friday. After dealing with an elbow strain, he will start versus the Rays. And in terms of news, starting pitcher Kodai Senga is expected to be activated from the 60-day IL on Friday to start in Kansas City. Senga has missed quite some time with a hamstring strain, so hopefully he returns without missing a beat. Now we can take a look at our notable performances from Tuesday, a day in which we had just as a full slate of 15 games. We'll lead it off with our hitters. Started with our hitters, leading off with second baseman Matt McLain, who did all he could, but the Reds lost to the Marlins. He went 1-for-4 with a run, a home run, and an RBI. It was his 10th homer of the year, and it traveled 354 feet at 96 miles per hour. McLain has been a much better fantasy hitter than a real-life hitter this year, with 10 homers and 12 steals, despite a 627 OPS, good for a 72 WRC+. And he's been nowhere near as good as he was in his rookie campaign when he batted 290 with 16 homers and 14 steals in just 89 games. Shoulder surgery wiped out McLain's 2024 campaign, and he's been unable to recover his previous form, and it's somewhat warranted as he's been unable to cut back on the whiffs that led to fantasy managers being skeptical of his rookie campaign in the first place. Additionally, McLain's batted ball metrics have declined as he's barreling the ball just 7% of the time while hitting everything in the air, which has led to a low BABIP that has held him to an abysmal 203 batting average, all while watching his power decline because he hasn't been able to pull those fly balls. McLain's power speed combo and spot at the top of the order in one of the best offensive ballparks in baseball in Cincinnati make him rosterable in standard leagues, but I'd be cutting bait in anything shallower. Next, we have third baseman Max Muncy, who helped the A's to win against the Braves, going 2-for-4 with a run, a home run, and 2 runs batted in. It was his 8th homer of the year, and it traveled 416 feet at 107 miles per hour. The 25th pick in the 2021 draft, Muncy had high expectations when he made his debut this year, not to mention the impressive namesake he shares that only hyped up those expectations even further. He did not live up to the hype, though, batting just 176 with a lone homer and a 29 WRC plus through his first 21 career games, leading to a demotion to AAA, where Muncy looked a lot more like his top prospect self, batting 325 with a trio of homers and a 114 WRC plus across 31 games, earning him another shot at the big league level. Muncy seems to have learned from his early season mistakes and is making the most of this opportunity, displaying pop that wasn't apparent in the minors, going yards 7 times across his last 29 games while producing an above average WRC plus. He's still striking out a third of the time, which is an issue and will suppress his batting average, as he's currently batting just 222 on the year. But Muncy should be rostered in 15-team leagues because that power surge is supported by a 13% barrel rate. He's playing every day, and he plays in a very small ballpark, which should only continue to boost his offensive numbers. And lastly, we have outfielder Nick Lofton, who helped the Royals to win against the Pirates, going 2 for 4 with a run, a home run, and 3 runs batted in. It was his third homer of the year, and it traveled 359 feet at 97 miles per hour. And Lofton continues to intrigue me. I covered him about a month ago because of his impressive patience at AAA, leading to a 21% walk rate and a big league call-up. He hadn't homered since I talked about him on that episode, but has now gone deep in back-to-back games and continues to get everyday playing time for the Royals, despite a 57 WRC+. It's likely due to his versatility on the field. Lofton has played second base, third base, and the outfield, but he's been much more aggressive in the big leagues this year than at AAA, and I'm not really a huge fan despite the obvious signs of increased power. That being said, Lofton has been extremely unlucky with a sub 200 BABIP entering Tuesday, which is the reason he's got just a 202 average on the season. And I think Lofton could be a player to target in deeper leagues as luck swings in his favor heading into the All-Star break. But if you'd like a breakdown of other notable hitting performances from Tuesday, check out the daily Batters Box article over on PitcherList.com. Now we'll head to the mound and check out some notable starting pitching performances, opening with Brandon Young, who did all he could, but the Orioles lost to the Mets, Young tossed 5 1/3 innings, allowing 5 hits and 2 earned runs, walking nobody while striking out 6. He induced 9 whiffs with 29% CSW across 66 pitches, and it's been a rough start to Young's MLB career as he entered Tuesday with a 7.02 ERA and a 1.98 whip through his first 4 career starts. But he finally survived the 5th and even pitched into the 6th in this one, displaying what made him one of the Orioles' top 20 prospects this year. Young's mid-90s heater with 18 inches of vert is pretty dope, and it filled up the zone and took advantage of a patient Mets lineup, stealing 8 called strikes while avoiding loud contact with 6 foul balls while going 5 of 7 outs on balls in play. But it was his changeup that shined against a lefty-heavy lineup, inducing 6 whiffs and 27% CSW. And I think it would have found more success had Young been able to locate it below the zone, but will take a 77% strike rate as a result of all the slow balls in the zone. He also featured 10 curves that returned 40% CSW, keeping hitters off his 1-2 combo. And even with the Marlins up next, I don't think I'm ready to start trusting Brandon Young, as his arsenal is reliant on good command that he does not possess. Next, we have Brayan Bello, who helped the Red Sox to win against the Rockies, tossing 9 innings, allowing 5 hits and 2 earned runs while walking 1 and punching out 10. He induced 15 whiffs with 34% CSW across 107 pitches. And our streamer of the day came through big time as Bello turned in the first complete game of his career, employing impeccable command of his entire arsenal and getting a little help from a passive and lackluster Rockies lineup. Righties were made uncomfortable with incessant sinkers on their hands, and they were not enticed to swing at them, leading to 12 called strikes and 9 foul balls when they did swing, ultimately notching a 38% CSW and 84% strike rate on the sinker. It paired beautifully with his sweeper downstairs, returning 6 whiffs and 48% CSW as it tunneled with that sinker on the inside part of the plate. Against lefties, it was mostly 4-seamer changeup from Bello. The heater stayed upstairs, but found little success with just 12% CSW. However, it did do a good job of avoiding loud contact with 8 foul balls and going 4 out of 5 outs on balls in play, while his slow ball earned chases downstairs, inducing 5 whiffs and 36% CSW. This is peak Bello, but I don't think it's something we can expect every time out. He's sort of been on fire recently, though, recording a 2.67 ERA across his last 8 starts, so I think I'm still going to target him for his next start against the Rays. Lastly, we have Eury Perez, who helped the Marlins to win in Cincinnati, tossing 5 innings, allowing 2 hits and 1 earned run while walking nobody and striking out 8. He induced 11 whiffs with 30% CSW across 88 pitches. And I sort of like the parallels between Perez and the aforementioned Matt McClain, and it's poetic that they squared off against each other on Tuesday. Both had impressive 2023 rookie campaigns and had their 2024 seasons wiped out by arm-related injuries. Perez underwent Tommy John surgery last year and was still shaking off the rust to start this year, failing to complete 5 frames in each of his first 4 starts this season, but he locked in last time out to earn a golden goal and kept that success rolling here as his upper 90s heater couldn't be handled in the zone, returning 9 called strikes and 14 foul balls. The Reds also struggled to do anything with Perez's secondaries, as his slider and sweeper had great location low and glove side, combining for 7 whiffs and 40% CSW, while his changeups were somewhat uncompetitive around the zone. Prez's stuff, though, is absolutely undeniable. It's all about command for him, and he seems to be finally locking it in, so we keep it rolling with the Orioles in Baltimore up next. But if you'd like a breakdown of every single start, every single start from Tuesday, give the Plus Pitch podcast a listen and check out Nick's daily SP roundup over on pitcherlist.com. Now we'll head to the bullpen and check out the relievers that got saves and the closers that pitched outside of save situations or blew their saves. Starting with the former, Huascar Brazoban recorded the second save of his season as he pitched a perfect 10th inning. Edwin Diaz pitched a perfect 9th in a tie game in that one to earn his 4th win. Will Vest pitched a scoreless 9th for his 15th save. Trevor McGill recorded his 21st save with a perfect 9th. Ryan Helsley pitched a scoreless 9th for his 18th save, and Robert Suarez is currently leading the majors with his 26th save after his perfect 9th on Tuesday. And in terms of closers to pitch outside of save situations or below their saves, Felix Bautista pitched a hitless 9th in a tie game that the Orioles would lose in 10. Carlos Estevez pitched a scoreless 9th in a tie game and earned his 3rd win when the Royals walked it off. Josh Hader pitched a scoreless 9th in a tie game, then came out for the 10th, ultimately serving up a go-ahead grand slam to take his 2nd loss. Emmanuel Clase pitched a perfect 10th with a 4-run lead. And lastly, Jordan Romano got a save chance with a 2-run 9th inning lead and proceeded to serve up a walk-off inside the park home run to Patrick Bailey to blow his 3rd save and take his 4th loss. But if you'd like more information on relief pitchers, check out Rick Graham's weekly articles over on pitcherlist.com. And before we look forward to today's games, we're going to take a quick break. Now look forward to Wednesday, July 9th, the day in which we'll have a full slate of 15 games. My matchup of the day is Andrew Abbott versus Sandy Alcantara. They're sort of like polar opposites to me, where you watch Abbott and you're confused why he's so good. And then Sandy, on the other hand, you watch him and you're confused why he's so bad. So I think this will be a fun one to watch, Andrew Abbott versus Sandy Alcantara in Great American Ballpark. In terms of probable starters, we've got 3 guys in the auto starts tier, including Abbott. We've also got Mackenzie Gore in St. Louis and Chris Bubich against the Pirates. Our probably starts tier has 9 guys, and that's where we'll find our streamer of the day in Brandon Walter versus the Guardians. The Guardians lineup is not scary enough for us to avoid starting Walter here. The most notable thing about Brandon Walter is his 1.4% walk rate on the season, so great control from Brandon Walter. I'd also keep an eye out for Eric Lauer against the White Sox in Chicago. I'm not quite sure why this is in the questionable starts tier, as Lauer's been very solid recently thanks to great command of his fastball upstairs, and I think he's going to have no problem against the White Sox, and you should be able to pick him up in the majority of leagues. In terms of hitter suggestions, I'd be looking at Giants and Phillies hitters in Oracle Park, as we'll see Jesus Luzardo square off against Justin Verlander, both of whom have not been too great in the past few weeks. I'd also look at Mariners hitters versus Cameron Schlitter in Yankee Stadium. It'll be Schlitter's MLB debut, so that's why I'm targeting Mariners hitters. I'd also look at Red Sox hitters versus Antonio Senzatella in Fenway Park. Senzatella, not great, 3-12 on the season with a 6.57 ERA. Red Sox hitters should be able to take advantage of that. I'd also target Rangers and Angels hitters in Angel Stadium, as we'll see a couple of not great pitchers, Kumar Rocker and Kyle Hendricks, square off. I think this could be an offensive explosion. And lastly, I'll target Braves and A's hitters in Sutter Health Park. That ballpark is a bandbox, and we'll see Bryce Elder square off against Mitch Spence. So I'm not really expecting a pitcher's duel there. And now we'll close things out with our relievers to watch. Emmanuel Clase has pitched on 3 days in a row, but so has Hunter Gaddis, and Cade Smith has pitched in 3 of the past 4 and threw a lot of pitches on Tuesday. So I guess we're counting on Paul Sewald for a save on Wednesday. Will Vest has pitched on back-to-back days, so expect Tommy Kahnle to be the Tigers closer on Wednesday. And lastly, Josh Hader probably gets the day off after a big blown save and 21 pitches on Tuesday. So expect Brian Breu to be the Astros' go-to option in the 9th inning on Tuesday or on Wednesday. But that'll do it for today's episode of the First Pitch Podcast. Make sure to head on over to pitcherlist.com to check out all of the great articles and features we have on the site. Sign up for PL Plus or PL Pro to gain access to the Discord and to support the Pitcher List staff. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake Crumpler and tune in live on YouTube tomorrow and every day for a new installment of the podcast. And make sure to enjoy the day as we are blessed with another day of baseball.